Beginning in late 1939, the Manhattan Project was the code name for an American-led project to develop functional atomic weaponry during World War II. Started by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the project was created in response to American spies in Germany reporting that German scientists had already been working on an atomic weapon since the early 1930s. The first matter at hand for America was researching uranium and its possible use as a weapon. In early 1940, the National Defense Research Committee was formed and began research on uranium. In 1941, that committee was renamed the Office of Scientific Research and Development. During the same year, Japan bombed the American battleship port Pearl Harbor, and President Roosevelt declared that America would be entering the war and joining the Allied forces in Europe. In 1942, engineers from the Army Corps joined with the Office of Scientific Research and Development, and the Manhattan Project was officially underway as a military initiative. After a whole year of vigorous research on atomic minerals such as uranium and plutonium, the Manhattan Project was ready to begin construction. On December 28, 1942, President Roosevelt authorized atomic assembly facilities to be built in remote locations such as New Mexico, Tennessee, and Washington. It was at these locations that some of the greatest scientists from all over the world gathered to work. In northern New Mexico, Robert Oppenheimer was named the head and chief scientist at the Los Alamos Laboratory. It was here that the creation of what was known as Project Y was formed. Project Y was the first authorized group to build and test the first atomic weapon. On July 16, 1945, what would become known as the Trinity Test was performed at a remote location near Alamogordo, New Mexico. The Trinity Test was the first ever successful atomic bomb detonation. This marked huge progress and success for the Manhattan Project as a whole. America soon realized that the war in Europe was nearing an end. This enabled them to shift their focus to the ongoing war with Japan. America knew that the Japanese people would fight to their last breath and never willingly surrender. After the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, the U.S. was sustaining heavy losses and realized that a full-scale siege of mainland Japan would not be worth it. So instead, they called a meeting in Potsdam, Germany. This would become known as the Potsdam Conference. At this conference, the U.S. requested that Japan surrender under the terms they outlined in the Potsdam Declaration, or they would face prompt and utter destruction. Japan refused to accept these terms. In response to Japan's stubbornness, the leaders of the Manhattan Project identified Hiroshima, Japan, to be the target for the world's first atomic bomb attack. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay aircraft dropped the atomic bomb they codenamed Little Boy on the city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, when Japan still didn't surrender, they dropped the atomic bomb Fat Man on the city of Nagasaki, Japan. 5 days later, Japan finally succumbed to defeat and surrendered to America. This marked the end of World War II.